Buenos dias and hafade para todos amzo. It is now 10:10 a.m. on this Monday, I'm sorry, August 12th, 2024. We are here at the Senate chambers at the Jesus P. Mofnas Memorial Building of the NMI Legislature. I want to welcome everyone present today as we begin our confirmation hearing of Mr. Bruce Marshall Camacho, nominated by Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apatang to serve as a member of the Commonwealth Public Utilities Commission. Buenos dias and bienvenido lo que para todos si manega ganaw huzungi Facebook, dan YouTube, gohu si Selena Babauta, gohu I gumehilulu estina komitea, I executive appointments and government investigations. I now recognize the legislative assistant, Mr. Devin Macaronis, to call the roll of the committee in session.
Senator Selena R. Babauta,
Present.
Senator Jude U. Hofschneider, Senator Karina L. Magofnia,
Present.
Senator Paul A. Manglonia,
Here.
Senator Donald M. Manglonia.
Present.
Madam Chair, 4 members are present, 1 member is absent.
Thank you, Mr. Macaronis. For the record, Senator Jude U. Hofschneider is representing the 23rd Senate at the Association of Pacific Island Legislatures in Bilao as a board of director, and he is hereby excused for this session. And now that you're all acquainted with the EAGI members, I would like to take this opportunity to take care of some administrative matters. First, we appreciate the cooperation of everyone present in the chambers to please silence all your electronic devices at this time. And if for any reason we need to take a break or a recess, Facebook will continue to stream live for the public out there. And we are also streaming live on cable local channel 23. Moving on, we will proceed with introductions. I'd like to recognize the professional staff of the Legislative Bureau assisting us this morning. We have our legal counsel, Mr. Joe Bermudez, legislative assistant, Mr. Devin Macaronis, our sergeant at arms, Mr. Ben Terlahi, and our IT manager, Mr. Jonathan Diaz, and also assisting us from the Youth Congress, the director, Mr. Louis John Castro. Moving on, we now move to the adoption of the agenda. For the record, today's agenda was published on August 8th, 2024, in compliance with the Open Government Act, and I now recognize Senator Karina Magofnia for the proper motion to adopt today's agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion to adopt today's agenda. So moved.
Motion has been made and it has been seconded by Senator Donald Manglonia. Are there any objections to the motion? There being no objections raised or concerns raised, today's agenda is duly adopted. I now invite Mr. John Paul Regis and the nominee, Mr. Bruce Camacho, to join us in the chamber. Mr. Regis will formally introduce the nominee to this committee. Mr. Regis, you may proceed when you are ready.
Good morning, Hafaday, Zantiro, Chairwoman Selena R. Babauta, and honorable members of the Executive Appointments and Governmental Investigations Committee. For record purposes, my name is Jean-Paul B. Regis, Special Projects Coordinator under the Office of the Governor. Due to personal reasons, I was tasked by the Special Assistant for the Administration, Mr. Oscar M. Babauta, to represent the administration, and on behalf of the Honorable Governor Arno I. Palacios and the Honorable Lieutenant Governor David M. Apatang, I thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am pleased to introduce Mr. Bruce M. Camacho, the Governor and Lieutenant Governor's nominee to serve on the Commonwealth Public Utilities Commissions, representing the 3rd Senatorial District of this beautiful island of Saipan. With a bachelor's degree on criminal justice from the University of Guam, Mr. Camacho had also received several distinguished awards while serving in the U.S. Army for 11 years, earning him the rank of a captain with distinct honor. And I personally like to extend my gratitude and appreciation to him as well for contributing his services to our nation. With that said, Mr. Camacho is also a grant writer and unemployed under the Office of Grants Management. He is a constant working individual without a doubt. Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apateng have expressed their trust and confidence in Mr. Camacho's ability to serve on the Public Utilities Commission, and for these reasons that we kindly request for your favorable consideration. His extensive professional background, credentials, and dedication to serving the Commonwealth in this capacity makes him a qualified candidate, and we kindly request again for your favorable approval. Madam Chair, thank you, Jesus Mosi Zangiliso, for the opportunity to introduce him to this august body.
Jesus Mosi, Senor Regis. And we will now move on to the next order of business, which is public comments. I now open the floor for public comments, and if you wish to provide public comments, I ask that you please state your name for the record and the organization or entity you represent. And pursuant to the rules of the Senate, you are allotted 5 minutes.
For the record, I'm Jack Angelo, Acting Chair of the CPUC, Commonwealth Public Utilities Commission. And I thank the Madam Chair and honorable members of this Senate to confirm Mr. Camacho, hopefully, in the next few minutes. He is a very outstanding young man. He adds youth to our commission with Mr. Cyrock and myself, Manamko and Oscar Kitagua. And we enjoy the background checks of Mr. Camacho, his military service, honorable, and his work with the government and his devotion to the CNMI. We have many, many items on our plate for the CPUC. It is a major task, and we're operating now with 3 members, 1 vacancy in Tinian, and then the one here for Saipan, which hopefully will be filled by Mr. Camacho. Our chairman, unfortunately, is on medical leave and should be back mid to late September. And Mr. Kitagua is on rota, and our meetings are conducted in the CETA conference room, and we do it by Zoom and through my cell phone to make sure that we can continue our operations and business. Mr. Camacho will add to our quorum and our commission, and with his presence, it will be a godsend at this time for the amount of work that we're doing. So again, I can't stress the importance of this standing committee to bless Mr. Camacho, and that the full Senate floor meet as soon as possible to confirm him, hopefully, and then on to his being sworn in by the governor. I didn't know Mr. Camacho prior to this nomination, but in the past weeks, I've come to enjoy his company, his great conversation, and his being an upstanding citizen and person of the CNMI. I do not hesitate to ever doubt his ability to do this job. And again, your Senate does a fine job in appointing or confirming these appointees, and I appreciate your concern. And any questions you have of me at this point, you can ask. If not, I'll turn it over to the Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Angelo. The floor is still open for public comments.
Good morning, Madam Chair and honorable members. My name is Joel Camacho. I am the acting speaker for the House of Representatives, but I am here on my personal capacity, not on my official capacity. As you recently know, the House of Representatives recently confirmed Mr. Camacho, and as you've heard from Mr. Paul Regis, SAA, his background and his unique qualifications and his service to our country. I could sit here all day, and I don't think 5 minutes is enough for me to describe to you the type of person Bruce is. He's not only served or helped me as my campaign chairman for the last 3 elections, but he's my brother. He opened his home for us, my family and I, to stay with him. And aside from the qualifications that he needs to be a CPUC member, he is more than qualified. Throughout my time in office, my chairman here, Mr. Bruce Camacho, has helped me plan a multitude of projects that have greatly helped benefited the people of Precinct 4. He is no stranger to hard work. I am more than confident that he's going to be an asset to CPUC, and I know that you guys are doing your due diligence. We've done our part in the House, and I respectfully and humbly ask for your support and your for his confirmation to serve in the CPUC. And with that said, I love you, my brother, and thank you, Madam Chair, and good luck.
Thank you, Representative Camacho. The floor is still open for public comments. If there are no further public comments, we will now close that portion of our agenda. For the record, aside from the public testimonials you've heard this morning, the committee also received written comments in support of the nomination of Mr. Bruce Camacho from Dr. Jack Angelo, and the committee received no letters in opposition of this nomination. We will move on to new business. For the record, Mr. Bruce Camacho was nominated last May 24, 2024, and he has completed all the necessary requirements for this committee, including disclosure of his financial statements and receiving the drug test results. Today, we will evaluate the nominee from the executive branch to serve as a member of the Commonwealth Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC. This nomination requires the advice and consent of the Senate, a procedure unique to the Senate. And this is the legislative body exercising its authority under the Constitution and laws and our democratic process to vet the credentials beyond your education and your professional standing in order to recommend, to confirm, or reject your nomination. And that is why we are here today. Mr. Camacho, your nomination comes at a very significant fiscal crisis. And each member of this committee has the obligation to ask probing, if not exploratory questions of you in order to make their own judgments and determinations as to your fitness to serve as a commissioner for the Commonwealth Public Utilities Commission. I will now turn the floor over to you. Should you wish to make any opening remarks at this time, you have the floor. But before we do that, I will recognize the legislative assistant. And may I invite you to please rise and raise your right hand for the LA to administer the oath.
Bruce M. Camacho, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You may be seated, Mr. Camacho. You now have the floor for your opening remarks if you wish to make one.
Okay. Good morning and happy day in Tito. Honorable Chairwoman Selena Babota, Vice Chairman Senator Donald Maglonia, and honorable members of the Senate Standing of Executive Appointments and Government Investigations. My sincere appreciation to all the members of this committee for taking their time off their busy schedule to facilitate this public hearing. Especially with all the budget hearings that are going on. I truly appreciate it. And if I may, I would like to also take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apatang for their trust and confidence with my nomination to the Sinamay Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC. All the individuals making their public comments and the general public here today and those watching in the Senate live stream and YouTube. I'm truly deeply honored. Lastly, if you're watching live on your personal devices, Please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Facebook page for more awesome content like this and important matters that's going on with the cinema. Uh, excuse me. For the record, my name is Bruce Camacho. I'm currently employed with the Office of Grants Management State Clearinghouse as a grant specialist slash writer. I'm also a service member of the United States Army Reserve, assigned to the Ninth Mission Support Command of the Pacific. To provide the public with insight of my resume, I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice with minors in public administration and military science from the University of Guam. I also have a associate's degree in liberal arts from the Northern Marianas College. I served in the U.S. Army active duty component from 2011 to 2016 in several capacities as a commissioned officer before transferring over to the Army Reserve. I first started working in the Sinamay government as a grants manager with the Civil Military Liaison Office, which is now known as the CBMA, in 2017. Uh, in a year, I transferred over to OGM from 2018 to present day. With I had a 1 year break in between where I was summoned to active duty assignment in Hawaii. I was also the company commander for Echo Company 100 Battalion 442nd Infantry, which consists of soldiers that are residing on the Sinamay and Guam. Anyways, as a grant writer over the years, I learned more effective ways to conduct educational research into grant proposals. Some relevant experiences with my job was doing energy related grants that include numerous solar power uh, projects that range from streetlights to pavilions. Most of these grants came from the Office of Insular Affairs, or the Energizing Insular Communities program. I also assisted with research and writing a couple of proposals under the climate pollution reduction program under the EPA. Assisted writing with green and resilient retrofit program grants earlier this year with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. Fingers crossed that these proposals get some favorable results at the end of by the end of September. But I would also like to thank the Sinamay Energy Task Force and the Special Assistant for Climate Policy and Planning, and the members of the Senate for your partnerships and your support letters for all these grant proposals. I was fortunate enough to attend the National Governors Association on Energy Security for territories earlier this year, to include in Hawaii, which also included after immediately following after that conference, we went to view a geothermal plant in the Philippines and a couple of solar farms in Guam. What I could also share is when I was in my active duty assignment last year, I was fortunate enough while I was in the French territory of New Caledonia, where I met a good friend with the French military who escorted me to see the wind turbine plants in Kone, which I learned it produces at least 20% of the total power in the country. I want to take this time to humbly admit that I'm no certified expert in the fields of power engineering, water treatment, wastewater management, and telecommunications. But what I can if confirmed, what I can humbly offer is an outside perspective, backed with experience in conducting cost analysis and in-depth research from my time as a grant writer. As I was sharing earlier with my public hearing with the House Committee with JGO and PUTC, one life lesson that I learned from my dad was to always surround myself with smarter people than myself. That way, I'll always challenge and train my brain to conduct more critical thinking and problem solving. And with this said, if I was blessed with the Senate's confirmation, I would work closely and learn from the other 3 seasoned members of the CPUC. And if blessed with this confirmation, the first order of business that I would like to do is to meet with officials and board members of the CUC and telecommunication companies, and most importantly, the subject matter experts, to get more of a better understanding of where we are right now. Also, I feel it's imperative to keep the administration and the PUTC committees in the House and the Senate informed, and to take in consideration all the recommendations with matters to contribute to utility rates. By doing so, we can provide more transparent, better, and affordable services to our people, businesses, and the government. I understand the task at hand, it would not be easy. Reviewing proposed rate adjustments and examining cost structures is just one aspect. I feel it's imperative to take precautions with every raise and every drop in utility rates, because the bottom line up front is that we need CUC for its electricity, water, and wastewater services, just as they need the residents, government, and businesses. So with every raise and drop in proposed rate adjustments, I would definitely take due diligence in examining all supporting documents and evidence that relate to CUC's proposed rate adjustments to make sound decisions on whether it provides a balanced fair rate for all. Uh, Aside CUC's utility rates, I understand there are other duties and responsibilities of the CPUC. If confirmed, I would like to also visit the broadband office to get a more better understanding with the federal funding that they recently received from U.S. Congress, and to see whether we need to revisit telecommunication rates with our business sector. So, uh, with that said, it's like if any part of that grant would help contribute to lowering the rates or whatsoever, I think it's imperative to uh, not neglect the telecommunication side of CPUC. So I strongly believe in the mission of the commission, and I dedicate to pledge to work with other members of the CPUC to ensure that utility rates are fair, transparent, and reflect both the needs of our community and the operational realities of our service providers. I also look forward to the opportunity to discuss my qualifications, experiences, and visions for the future of the commission. Thank you so much to this body for your consideration of my nomination, and I welcome any questions, suggestions, and most importantly, recommendations and feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. I like your dad's advice. It's very sage. I'll begin the questioning portion. Through this transition period between the United States Trust Territory and management, and after the ratification of the CNMI Covenant in 1975, the CNMI enacted legislation creating CUC, but due to delays in the actual implementation, it did not materialize until 1987, which up until the time operated under the Department of Public Works. During that time period, it was agreed that CUC would operate at a full cost recovery basis within 3 years. To date, over 45 years has passed and CUC has yet to achieve this goal. Can you lend us your thoughts on that? And what would you do should you be confirmed? You spoke about cost analysis. This is right up that alley. CUC has never been able to operate at full cost recovery. And how would this cost analysis assist ratepayers in terms of assisting them? As you know, utility rates are sky high here in the Marianas, in the CNMI, and I just want to know what your thoughts are.
Hi, great question, Chairwoman. Just in my humble opinion, anything that proposes rate adjustments uh, as part of a member of the CPUC, I would look into everything that contributes to anything that will contribute to the rates. So anything with past obligations and uh, anything proposed, I think doing a proper cost analysis is really important to uh, determining the rate. If yeah,
Thank you
that
for
makes
that.
sense.
And part of the reason is what we and the public's sentiments are on that is um, one, the high salaries of CUC employees, and that takes into account when you determine the rate. And I know CPUC are a totally separate independent body of CUC,
Mhm.
but it takes that into consideration. If we are to truly analyze the cost of utilities and include the operations of CUC, the salaries also play an important role, and also I hope that you look into finding alternative shipments of fuel by capitalizing our Jones Act waiver here in the CNMI. I think it is very doable. I know for a fact that Hawaii gets most of their fuel from South America. And I proposed to the U.S. Department of, or the Hawaii State Energy Office when I was there last year to utilize CNMI's Jones Act waiver to bring fuel to Hawaii and take a look at their cost analysis as well. So I hope you promote that. One of the things also in determining rates for water and wastewater is the actual water that is pumped and treated by CUC. In the past, it has been noted in the papers that only 37% of water produced and pumped chlorinated by CUC is being billed to customers. This affects the rates because we are losing more water than we are, and not only losing water, but revenue
Mhm.
associated with that lost water. And this affects the rates. So please look into that. Um, it is reported that CUC is losing over 200 million gallons per month on water alone. So these are some of the statistics we'd like for you to take a look at that. And that loss of water is passed on to our ratepayers. And also, my biggest concern right now is the amount of PFAS, particularly in the southern part of Saipan. I live in that area, and I can't even use my water to cook with it because it is so contaminated with PFAS. And to treat that to an acceptable level also requires an analysis on the cost of that treatment. And so those are the things affecting the rates. So please look into that. Should you be confirmed, how would your current position as a grant writer from OGM complement or conflict with your position as a commissioner for CPUC? Do you see any conflicts, or would it complement that?
I don't think it would conflict.
So what would you say, your job as a grant specialist, how would it complement then CPUC?
I think finding money to cover either shortfalls for for CUC or telecommunication companies. I just want to also add to what you mentioned earlier about water. Uh, Maybe like find one idea I had for a couple months now was uh, to help decrease the cost of water is maybe getting uh solarized pumps for the water. I know Guam does it. I know it would play a part in the that part in your bill where it talks about the water electric fee that goes in there. I think it would help out with the government, nonprofits, and businesses and residents. So
Thank you. I will now yield to the other members. Recognize Senator Karina Magofnia.
Thank you, Chairwoman, and good morning to you, Mr.
Good morning.
Camacho. Thank you for accepting the nomination.
Thank you.
We talked about how, some of the ways that we can help reduce the high cost of utilities here in the CNMI. And we know that one component of that is the fuel. And as the chairwoman had mentioned earlier, if we can consider, if you would support the initiative for Hawaii to utilize the CNMI with the Jones Act waiver that we have, that would be great. But I was, I would like to ask, in currently you're with OGM, correct?
Yes.
And would you say that the efforts and the initiatives that the Office of Grants Management towards renewable energy has been supported by CUC? I think it makes a big difference, right? Because both have to be going this in the same way. Otherwise, it would conflict and would be bumping heads.
Yeah.
And so I know that OGM, from our last budget hearing, has expressed their efforts to find many ways to bring monies in to reduce, through solar energy to help reduce the cost of utilities. However, CUC hasn't been really active, maybe, or I don't want to, say anything that's not true. But in your experience working at OGM, would you say that in all the efforts and the initiatives that your office has been pursuing, whether or not CUC has been supportive and, trying to collaborate with your office instead of opposing?
I
Thank you.
thank you for that. Personally feel, I think communication could be better between our office and CUC. I know the Energy Task Force is constantly coming to our office for collaboration, but I think on CUC side, I think we could do a better job with communicating with them. I know the law emphasizes on transition to renewable energy, and I feel that uh, as partners we could do a better job of meeting the intent of getting fuel or getting utilities as low as possible. I feel I personally feel that CUC, uh, if they were to transition to renewable energy, I feel they could still make it. Uh, I know we talk. The biggest fear is that I always hear from from contacts in CUC is that renewable energy might just cut a lot of their administrative staff. But I think uh, if they were to maybe reach out to like our trades schools, I think they can help train their employees to what's becoming of the future with more renewable energy type utilities. So I think bottom line is, yeah, we could work better.
And thank you for your answer. Um, you know, I I guess what I'm trying to get to is whether or not CUC has been really on board and, you know, um, in moving in that direction. Obviously there is a law that mandates them to, convert over to renewable energy at some point in time, and I I personally haven't seen much effort or um, action plan to start heading that way. Maybe I'm just not in the loop. Again, we go back. We've already identified that communication is one of the areas that needs to be improved during the budget hearing last week. But I get and what I'm trying to get is the pulse or gauge whether or not CUC is truly on board with the efforts. Because it makes it so much harder, right? To You guys are working so hard to get all these grants to help the general public, and if CUC is indirectly or you know um, in opposition of that effort, it just makes it so much harder. And obviously, there's a breakdown in communication, but I guess what I'm trying to get a feel for is whether or not they are on board, and if not, then we need have to have that sit down and conversation and really have an understanding of where we are moving, and we need everyone, all the stakeholders on board. So I think you kind of gave I get the gist of what you're trying to say, and I just want to kind of put that out on the record. And CUC has reached out to me to try and have further discussion about what was being discussed during the budget hearing last week. I think it's important that all relevant participants should be at the table and not just hear one over the other. But this is a step forward in the right direction, and so. I look forward to CPUC, your OGM, and CUC working in collaboration to achieve what is needed for our people. But thank you for your answer. That's all I have, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Magofnia. Recognize Senator Donald Magnolia.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations, Mr. Camacho, on your appointment. I don't think I have any questions, but I do want to point out the fact that under your resume, you've listed that you've worked on several renewable energy grants, and it seems like the goal and intent is to start transitioning over to renewable energies, right? And so there has been a lot of effort that you and the agency that you're currently working under is looking at. And so I think it's very important to have even a member on the commission that is looking at other alternatives in trying to reduce the rates passed on to the consumers. And so I hope that you continue the efforts. And just for the record, for those of you who are viewing and don't have access to Mr. Camacho, has been instrumental in working on several climate reduction grants, energy-related grants under the Department of Housing and Development, looking at ways to provide for resilient homes under NMHC, and has also been involved in several maintenance assistance program, otherwise known as MAP or the TAP grants, energizing insular communities, to name a few. And so I think that with your understanding of the different ways in which alternative energy or renewable energy can assist in the way our rates are structured moving forward, could help facilitate a much more affordable fee structure and to get away from the current processes within CUC, and also to follow up on. I know during our budget hearing, there were several grants that were awarded to CUC that haven't been tapped into and that are expiring. But if those grants are meant to also support and allow for CUC to run more efficiently and operate more smoothly, and maybe with the intent of reducing the costs of utilities, I hope that that's something that you as a commissioner, but also an employee of the grants, can help push forward and try to hold CUC more accountable in trying to utilize these grants to effectuate the intended purposes. And so thank you for your service. I know you're currently or it states that you're currently in the reserve, and so I think if there's one thing that I ask of you is if you get confirmed, look at some of the concerns that are surrounding maybe net metering, and what are some ways that we can, as a legislature, assist in implementing these policies that would help the residents, but at the same time not so much affect CUC in a manner that would disrupt our current power generation. And so any recommendations that you can offer to the legislature in looking at the utility structure, we welcome that. And so we look forward to assisting the commission as well as grants and CC in trying to address those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Donald Manglonia. Just
Chair.
note, Mr. Camacho, I believe we're missing a page or maybe pages of your resume. If you could turn that in after the hearing.
Okay.
I will recognize Senator Paul Manglonia at this time.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Mr. Camacho. First of all, I want to thank you for accepting this appointment by the governor and lieutenant governor. Just the other day, we had our Senate session and we passed a House Bill 2397, amending certain provisions of the Public Utility Commission legislation, because this is an agency that no one wants to be part of. It's so challenging, and it takes a lot of your time as a member, because the issues are so technical, and I guess it's not a commission that many people want to hang on. So we have to provide some incentives, and that was one of the reasons for the passage of that amendment in our last Senate session. So thank you for taking on this task. One of the agencies that you're going to be regulating, of course, is CUC, and there's so many concerns there. But I want you to know that it might not be very clear under PUC, but your responsibilities include looking over, for example, they want to sign a contract with Agweco, right, for another year that's costing the consumers at least $3 million, after continuously over the years renewing it over the years. So you're gonna have to question them. Why is it that for the last 5 6 years they should already anticipate, right, and even have enough time to get another generator? So those, I think, are the kind of questions that, although you don't work for CUC because you're a regulator, those questions have to be asked. Because for why are you continuously needing to get an emergency generator? It's not an emergency anymore, right? The other thing is, last year around November, they came out that they were producing like 250 million gallons in that 1 month, and then they were able to sell only 90 million gallons, which shows you that more than 60% is non-revenue. We're not making money, right? And I know that we have funding for those now, federal assistance. So your job also is to say, where are we? How far are we into fixing all these leaks, right? Because the thing that our residents, especially in Rhoda, are saying to us is, hey, we use gravity. We don't use any pumps on Rhoda, this and this, and why are they paying so much for water? And I told them we have rate integration. The whole CNMI, just like with power, same thing with water. So I guess, if we fix all our issues in all the islands, it helps everyone, right? So that 60% non-revenue is a big number. So your role is, when they ask for, for projects and all that, you have to review and get an update. The same thing with net metering. Our people out there, there's a law, right? And they told us since 3 years ago, 4 years ago, they're gonna do a study, and it's just now getting there. And they just finished Rhoda recently. But those are, whenever they have a contract, I think you have to sit down and see which on with your authority in approving any contract with them, because any contract would affect the rates that the consumers are paying, right? So thank you for taking on this. I know that you're more than qualified to help, and as you mentioned, you have seasoned members in there now, right? The chairman and Dr. Jack Angelo, and we have other good members. So I think that you're going to be an asset to PUC. So no, Madam Chair, thank you talo no na una acceptes na appointment.
Thank you, Senator Paul. Can you, Mr. Camacho, share your um, insights or thoughts on net metering and how it can assist residential ratepayers?
Hi, good morning. So, net metering, I believe, can provide mutual benefits between CUC and the residents. I, I'm a firm believer that uh, I know CUC is kind of lacking on that side with.
CUC has always been resistant to that
Yeah.
idea,
I think
and I don't know that they, have the expertise. In fact, from what I recall, there's a public law that residents can have alternative energy of up to 80% of the power they consume, whether it's through solar or other means of alternative energy rather than fossil fuel. And CUC has been resistant to that idea.
mhm.
So, and we recently passed and included the Joten Kizu Library. I think that was the latest agency that was approved for net metering benefits. And, even the administration is having a difficult time paying for utilities. So can you lend us your thoughts on how do you think it will benefit both CUC and ratepayers?
I think as a CPUC, I think one of the things is working closely with the board of CUC to uh, to push this idea because I mean you can lower residential rates tremendously if we stick to net metering, and I think that has to be done. It's been I know several countries. I know the United States too. They do a lot of net metering, and I think it's beneficial for both. I think it would save CUC obviously in purchasing more fuel.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
other
Yes.
operational costs. But
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know that comparing the islands to the United States or any
Oh, yes.
state is a good comparison, knowing we don't have the population as a state. So maybe there are advantages in the states, but here in the CNMI where population is less,
Yeah.
I don't know that that would be a good comparison. But what would be your top 3 priorities should you be confirmed as a commissioner to CPUC?
I think the biggest one for me, my opinion, is getting it's transparency with the fuel rates. I think understanding the what goes into the FAC, the fuel adjustment costs. I think a breakdown to understand what uh, the cost of providing services. Like I think like true cost is the word I'm trying to think of. Like the true cost of producing energy versus uh, other stuff that might go into the FAC, like overhead costs and
Thank
stuff.
you for mentioning the FAC because everybody has their frustrations with that. They just don't
Yes.
understand the calculation. And every time I go to CUC in the past to have them explain it so I can understand it, I get a different answer every time a different customer service rep
Hmm.
attends to the customer. So it's frustrating to say the least.
Hmm.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm glad that'll be one of your priorities because I think it is our community's priority as well. They're frustrated with that. I have no further questions at this time, if there are any. I'll recognize Senator McGovney.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just one quick question. What are your thoughts on the possibility of a private-public partnership with CUC. As you know, we visited the GPA and the solar farm, right? And they talked about the private-public partnership. GPA owns the utility, but they don't have to worry about all the other operational costs that comes with it because they've contracted, is it Ken Corp?
Yeah.
Or yeah, right?
Mhm.
And all they care is that that company provides them with the kilowatts that they need at that rate. So knowing that, and it seems like CUC has been challenged with getting new generators, right? To especially ones that are more cost effective, right? Because they're newer and doesn't consume as much fuel as the really old one generators that they have now. So knowing that CUC is challenged financially to even get a loan to tend to a lot of the areas that they need to tend to. What are your thoughts about the idea or I know this is not a new concept. It's been brought up in the past many, many times, but it never seems to go anywhere. But in your opinion, what would you care to share your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea. I also feel that maybe if we were to implement it, maybe we could start as a pilot project, maybe on the one of the outer islands, like Rhoda or Tinian, just to gauge and see uh, basically the feasibility and seeing if it would work out for the cinema as a whole. Also feel like if I know this is random, but I feel like if we're ever to uh, do some resettlement project up in like Pagan, I think like geothermal energy is like perfect for that location. So maybe like a private partnership there too would probably work out. So just a random thought. Sorry.
Thank you for that, and I agree. I think we should use one of the smaller population, right, as a pilot program to see the advantages or the benefits that come with that, and then go from there. So, thank you for your answer. That's all I have, Madam
you.
Chair.
Thank you. Just one last comment. I'm glad you mentioned geothermal up in the Northern Islands because it dawned on me and it just clicked an idea that maybe CUC in working with other departments and agencies in our government, like the Energy Office, and working with the Governor's Office through the Special System for Climate and Policy and all that, that maybe, and it's time to look into this, that maybe each of our islands, because of their different needs and different available resources, that we should implement different
Yeah.
energy um, productions on the different islands. For example, the Northern Islands, as you mentioned, can totally be off the grid and utilize the heat from Mount Pagan, to generate their own energy. Rhoda and Tinian have different needs. We cannot, I think it's time to look into other alternatives for the different needs of the municipalities, and that one, you know, a cookie cutter um, plan does not necessarily work
Yeah.
for all the islands. We can't just have one blanket source of energy and leave it at that. So I hope that you and it should you be confirmed and other members of the CPUC and Energy Office and CUC can sit down and take a look at the this initiative, maybe perhaps, so that we can try and assist our communities as well. That's all I have. Are there any other questions or concerns or comments from the members? If not, Mr. Camacho, you are hereby dismissed.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will take a recess until 2 p.m. where we will vet the nomination of Ms. Dina Tenorio, nominated to serve as, one moment, serve as a Board of Trustee for the Northern Marianas Technical Institute. Until then, we are in recess. The time is now 11:04 a.m.